So I'm talking about compassion this month, a couple of weeks, and the reason I'm talking about it, I'll talk more about this, is that I've been reading Karen Armstrong's 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life, and so I'll speak more about that. But I was telling Denise that mostly I just was not inspired by that whole idea. So I found this, and it's apropos to Robert's remark about life being funny. This is from This I Believe, which is a collection of essays that have appeared several times. And I want to share with you the philosophy of compassion as written by Sarah Adams, who the title is Be Cool to the Pizza Dude. Sarah Adams says, and I quote, "I have one operating philosophy about life. It is this: be cool to the pizza driver dude. It's good luck. 4 principles guide the pizza dude philosophy. Principle 1. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in humility and forgiveness. I let him cut me off in traffic, let him safely hit the exit ramp from the left lane, let him forget to use his blinker without extending any of my digits out the window or toward my horn, because there should be one moment in my harried life when a car may encroach or cut off or pass me, and I let it go. Sometimes when I have become so certain of my ownership of my lane, daring anyone to challenge me, the pizza dude speeds by in his rusted Chevette. His pizza light atop his car glowing like a beacon reminds me to check myself as I flow through the world. After all, the dude is delivering pizza to young and old, families and singletons, gays and straight, blacks, whites, brown, rich and poor, and vegetarians and meat lovers alike. As he journeys, I give him safe passage, practice restraint, show courtesy, and contain my anger. Principle 2. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in empathy. Let's face it, we've all taken jobs just to have a job because some money is better than none. I've held an assortment of these jobs and was grateful for the paycheck that meant I didn't have to share my Cheerios with my cats. In the big pizza wheel of life, sometimes you're the hot bubbly cheese and sometimes you're the burnt crust. It's good to remember the fickle spinning of that wheel. Principle 3. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in honor, and it reminds me to honor honest work. Let me tell you something about these dudes. They never took over a company, and a CEO artificially inflated the value of stock and cashed out their own shares, bringing the company to the brink of bankruptcy, resulting in 20,000 people losing their jobs, while the CEO builds a home the size of a luxury hotel. Rather, the dude sleeps the sleep of the just. Principle 4. Coolness to the pizza delivery dude is a practice in equality. My measurement of a human being, my worth, is the pride I take in performing my job, any job, and the respect with which I treat others. I am the equal of the world, not because of the car I drive, the size of my TV, the weight I can bench press, or the calculus equations I can solve. I am equal to all I meet because of this kindness in my heart, and it all starts here with a pizza delivery dude. Tip him well, my friends, for that which you bestow freely and willingly will bring you all the happy blessings that a grateful universe knows how to return. By Sarah Adams. Now, why am I crying about that, for crying out loud? I have no idea. So, there was speaking of CEOs and compassion, there was this CEO, Dan Price, who had the company and has the company of Gravity Payments. And last week he made an announcement. He said that research indicated that the happiest people in the world had an income of $70,000 a year. He was making approximately $1 million a year. So, Dan Price made the decision to reduce his salary to $70,000 a year and to use the money for all of his employees to bring them up to $70,000 a year.
Amazing.
I know. Now this is a pizza dude kind of CEO, yes? So it is going to be incremental. Everybody that's not at 50,000 will be raised to 50,000 this year. Next year to 60,000 and the following year to 70,000. So, to me, that is really compassion made manifest. And wouldn't it be lovely if the whole world took on that sort of philosophy of love and balance and wishing happiness for everyone? Which brings us to Karen Armstrong, who briefly was a nun and left her calling because she became agnostic, and she was away from any sort of spiritual belief system for 11 years. And then she began writing. She had an occasion to go on a writing, what do you call it? I don't know, assignment to Jerusalem, and she began learning the philosophies of not only Christianity but Islam and Buddhism and Confucianism. And so she segued back to her faith with a broader belief system. And she was invited by Ted's talks. Thank you for filling in my words. Listen to what I'm thinking, not what I say. She was invited by TED Talk to speak on compassion. And they then offered her a large sum of money, a grant, and what she chose to do about it was to establish the Charter for Compassion. And they agreed to help her do that. So Karen Armstrong now has a worldwide movement, including all of the major religions, which support the Charter of Compassion. I'm going to read the charter to you. And I'm quoting. The principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religions, ethical and spiritual traditions, calling us always to treat all others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of our fellow creatures, to dethrone ourselves from the center of our world and put another there, and to honor the inviolable sanctity of every single human being, treating everyone without exception with absolute justice, equity, and respect. It's also necessary in both public and private life to refrain consistently and emphatically from inflicting pain. To act or speak violently out of spite, chauvinism, or self-interest, to impoverish, exploit, or deny basic rights to anyone, and to incite hatred by denigrating others, even our enemies, is a denial of our common humanity. We acknowledge that we have failed to live compassionately, and that some have even increased the sum of human misery in the name of religion. We therefore call upon all men and women to restore compassion to the center of morality and religion, to return to the ancient principle that any interpretation of Scripture that breeds violence, hatred, or disdain is illegitimate, to ensure that youth are given accurate and respectful information about other traditions, religions, and cultures, to encourage a positive appreciation of cultural and religious diversity, to cultivate an informed empathy with the suffering of all human beings, even those regarded as enemies. We urgently need to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force in our polarized world. Rooted in a principled determination to transcend selfishness, compassion can break down political, dogmatic, ideological, and religious boundaries. Born of our deep interdependence, compassion is essential to human relationships and to a fulfilled humanity. It is the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of a just economy and a peaceful global community. So we define compassion, which comes from the Greek and Latin, as literally meaning to suffer, undergo, or experience. It means to endure with another person. To endure with another person. To put ourselves in someone else's shoes. To feel their pain as though it was your own. And to enter generously into their point of view. Compassion can be defined, therefore, as an attitude of principled, consistent altruism. Compassion is summed up in the Golden Rule, which is the sacred text of all major religions. All major religions adhere in some form to the Golden Rule. Confucius was the first one to be credited for the concept around 500 BCE, and he said, "Never do to others what you would not like them to do to you." And he added, "all day, every day." Confucius also taught that your well-being depends on the well-being of others, and this principle is called Jin. So what we are here to talk about is compassion, not to be confused with sympathy. Ernest Holmes said, "Sympathy never healed anyone. Sympathy never healed anyone. Because in our belief system, what you think is what you get. And if you hold someone from that sympathetic point of view, then you are holding them in the position of not being the highest and best that they can possibly be." So compassion is a place of being open-hearted, of being available to people in a way that supports them, that sees and holds their highest good, rather than seeing them from a sympathetic, "oh, poor baby" point of view, because that does not serve anyone. So I think one of the most stunning examples of compassion, and you probably have heard this story, but it moves me always. It was when Gandhi was approached by Nehru. And Nehru said to Gandhi, "I am going to hell. I killed a child. I smashed his head against a wall." And Gandhi said, "Why?" Nehru replied, "Because they killed my sons. The Muslims killed my son." And Gandhi said, I know the way out of hell." He said, "Find a child whose mother and father have been killed and raise him as your own. Only be sure that he's a Muslim and that you raise him as a Muslim." That moves me. Because that is the compassionate answer to all action. And that is to allow yourself to be in the position of someone else. So Gandhi allowed him to first raise a child who had lost parents, and to be in that position of understanding the child's loss, and to put himself, by raising this child as a Muslim, by putting himself into an understanding position, a position of compassion. And if we were all to allow ourselves to move into that place of deep, open-hearted understanding, there wouldn't be any of the, I'm putting this in quotes, stuff that's happening in this world that we judge as wrong and difficult. So Buddha says our sorrows and wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion. So one of the primary steps of compassion that Karen Armstrong talks about is first understanding what it is. That it is not sympathy. That it is an open-hearted presence with someone else in their suffering. And secondly, she says, to be compassionate with yourself. We all have our humanness that we came into this world with, and we all have our culturation, those ideas and beliefs that we have been trained and taught to think is superior to someone else. The truth of the matter is, 95% of our belief system is an accident of our birth. We believe what we believe only because someone has taught us to believe, until we reach a place in our life when we are able and willing to open ourselves and to question our belief system. To not allow ourselves to just accept without evaluation those things that we hold as the truth, as reality. Because the truth is, reality is a very personal thing. I don't know whether I talked last week or not, but maybe I did, about the fact that we receive 400 billion bits of information every second. That's a lot of information. And we can't take it all in. It would fill 40 volumes of books with the letter or the digit 0 to write down and declare 40 billion bits of information a second. So we have to begin to be discerning. And rather than letting information in, we start, what's the word, Linda?
Filtering.
Thank you. Filtering the information that we acknowledge. And so it is information that we're comfortable with, information that we know. It is the way we define our reality. The way I define my reality and the way you define your reality are entirely different things. So when people say to us, well, to think that your thoughts are creative, live in reality. The truth of the matter is, science now, quantum physics is now deciding and discerning and expressing to us that what we see is purely what we have created, what we are in alignment with. So compassion is a way of allowing our hearts to be open to those who do not share our reality, our point of view. It is a way of tolerating, and I hate that word, accepting other people and their point of view. So when we talk about being kind to the pizza dude, we're holding our heart open to those folks that have different belief systems than us, who maybe are from a different socioeconomic place, who have been raised with different spiritual belief systems, and not judging negatively or positively, just sitting with it, to be in compassion with it. So I have made a determination that I am going to go to www. Charter for Compassion and sign that charter. I'm going to be willing to stand for the principles of compassion. And I would invite you to think about doing that for yourselves. To look over the charter. I know that it's hard to hear it. But one of the most important things, I think, is the agreement to teach children all of the principles of the major religions so that they can, from a place of compassion and from a place of willingness, understand and know that all major religions are based on that whole concept of the golden rule. To do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And the next time I'm on the freeway and I cut you off, just remembering to hold your digits I love you all. Namaste. So I'm asking our one practitioner to stand and join me as we hold the consciousness. Everybody else is on holiday and vacation. So thank you all for not vacationing this week. I appreciate it. So join with me as I turn within. And I open my heart. As I stand fully and completely in love, knowing that each expression of the divine is perfect and whole and complete, just the way it is. That each of the 7.5 billion of us have our own point of view, our own reality, and we each are striving for the highest and best expression of that reality. I remind myself that it is not mine to judge the beliefs of someone else. It is only mine to hold my heart open. And from that place of open-hearted compassion, love and understanding, I do my little bit of creating peace, harmony. I know that because each one of us is a divine expression, that every molecule in our bodies are designed and created by that energy that I call God. And at this moment, I call each cell, each molecule, each organ, each physical system back to its recollection of divine perfection. I call back anything that I judge as illness, disease, to its original design. It's almost like stretching a rubber band and calling that disease and releasing that rubber band and letting it snap back to its original shape, size, function. And then I call that healing. I know that Spirit is at work right here, right now, in this place, in this space. Remembering the original design, the original function. I, at this moment, also celebrate those who may be traveling, who are not with us, knowing that all is well with those that are here in our hearts, but not physically with us today. I know it's all joy. It's all peace. It's all harmony because it's all God. And I'm grateful for that. And I invite you to declare that gratitude with me by owning it and by saying, and so it is.